Dr. Suchat, I guess I was curious as to how has this particular flu been spreading, and what's been its morbidity and mortality in the United States compared to past flus we've had?
Yeah, the H1N1 influenza virus has been what we're calling of moderate severity. This is not like 1918. What we saw in the spring anyway, and what we've seen in the southern hemisphere this summer does not have the enormity of the 1918 pandemic, which was, of course, really, absolutely devastating. But what we don't know is exactly how bad things will be this fall and winter. We've been trying to learn from the southern hemisphere's flu season. Their winter was our summer, and so many of the southern hemisphere countries have just been through a season where the new H1N1 strain did dominate. It caused most of the illness in a number of these places. There were some places where the healthcare capacity was really somewhat strained, but in most of the places it was a severe year, but not their worst ever. So that gave us a sense of what to expect.
Well, is that actually true? I mean, I assume their sanitation and healthcare opportunities are not quite what we might have in the northern hemisphere. Is that factored into your calculus when you're looking at what to extrapolate from the southern hemisphere?
Every community will be different. The comparisons I'm making are with places like Australia and New Zealand that are a little bit closer to our health system capacity. But importantly, even in some of those countries, there were hard-hit communities and there were hard-hit populations. We're concerned that in a couple places we've heard of indigenous populations having a higher morbidity and mortality, Aboriginal populations in Australia, in Manitoba, some of the Native Americans there. So I think that we need to be ready to be flexible and as prepared as possible. We may have this H1N1 on top of the regular seasonal strains. We may have sort of 2 seasons or almost 3, and so we're
to that point, I guess my next question would be, how do we gauge the flow as we get into the fall and winter flu season here in America? How we're doing compared to our normal in terms of the values, and will the CDC and others continue to be slightly alarmist, which may be viewed as your job, but as a small businessman, I'd like to get some pretty good, solid, accurate information as to how we're comparing with trends we've seen in the past.
Yes, we have enhanced our surveillance to have more timely information that's helpful to people, and also to get information that's more useful locally. We are already seeing increases in influenza, but it's only in some parts of the country, the southeastern states, but not the rest of the country in general. The state and local governments are going to try to share the information they have so that you'll know in your community what's going on. And I think we've learned a lot from the spring about interventions. We've learned that it was a new virus. We took it very seriously. We imposed some interventions to be on the safe side, and we've been able to take the knowledge of what the experience really was like to sort of temper those interventions to have a good balance between protecting health and safety and not in untowardly disrupting the economy.
I just would hope that as we go forward, we'd have accurate, timely, somewhat authoritative, as much as you can be with a disease, information to guide the small business community going forward. Ms. Blank, what are we doing to protect the agricultural industry from the misnomer about the flu and the porcine population being the big cause of this? What actions do you see the government or Department of Commerce or chambers or the farm organizations doing to make sure Americans get good information here?
Yeah, it is extremely unfortunate that this flu has gotten named with an animal name, which by all accounts is not a very accurate title at all.
Let's keep emphasizing that, please.
Yeah, no, I understand. I have cousins who are pork farmers who are quite upset about this. Obviously, the government has tried very hard to use the right nomenclature here and continues to do that. I think that there's information, on the CDC website, on the www.flu.gov website, that emphasizes that this does not relate to eating any particular foods out there. That this is a flu that's transmissible in the way that other flus are, and that one should think of it in those terms. It is hard to counter a name once it gets out there, and I think we just have to all keep making sure we use the right language and we keep saying the right things and hope that that does get through.
Thank you.